probably my favorite car out of my collection. It is my E92 Santorini Blue, one of 22. It sounds like I'm actually singing the song, but I'm not. I am just so pumped anytime that I get in this car. I mean, I absolutely love it. So, beautiful day here in Miami. Got to warm up the car a little bit, so can't really rip on it too much at all, just because with the S65s, and look, I need some fucking gas. With the S65s, they're known for rod bearing failures, so just got to keep it warm nonetheless. I'm gonna go ahead and go to one of my spots where I record. That way you guys can see it. This is not just any Santorini. I know it's kind of tough to say that all in one sentence. I mean, any Santorini is a pretty wild statement. But this car has a little good amount of goodies. All right, so here it is. It's just my favorite car that I've ever personally owned, and I've had a pretty cool amount of cars in my ownership, but this one's special. I mean, it's a 2013 Santorini Blue, one of 22. To my understanding, this is a part of one of the last 500 units that rolled off for the E92 platform. Very sick. It's a car that I've wanted for such a long time. I remember the first time I saw the E92, I fell in love with it. But then once I saw the Santorini Blue E92, it's a car that you kind of never expect to own. It's that kind of car that's on your wallpaper and you're like, oh my God. You know, maybe I'll own an E92 one day, and then I could wrap it this color. But never thought that I would own the real, actual thing. This car is actually from Canada. I did import it to the States. And that's the thing. A buddy of mine found it on one of the forums. It is a Canada car. You know, Canada was fortunate enough to have 14 of these examples, and the US actually had 8. So 14 to Canada, 8 to the US, and that's it. Only 22. Process was pretty easy. At first, I didn't know how I was going to get it, but I knew I had to figure it out because there was just no way I was going to turn this down. The price point, I was very happy with it, and yeah, I mean, I've been happy ever since. The car has been great. It has about 54,000 miles on the odometer, so still a very, very low mile car. As far as talking about modifications, I have, as you can see, I have 3-piece BBS E88s, racing pockets. They are the splicer spec, so the car looks absolutely beautiful. As far as suspension goes, I have it on a Olin road and track. I have the upgraded springs from Swift. I also have Warshiner camber plates. I still have to dial in. I would like the front to be lowered a hair, and then on the rears I would like it to be also lowered. So this is just a part of it. I mean, when you're putting wheels, you're never going to get it exact. Very rare that you get it exact off the first run. So gonna adjust it, gonna lower it a little bit, so that way it can just be perfectly dialed in. I also do have that V2 DT4 hard mounted front lip. I believe it's from a company, I can't remember, Ridgeline, that I did get from them. The car has been completely paint corrected and ceramic coated. This is the product that was used in order to do so. The car is in stock as far as exhausts go. I do have an active auto work full exhaust and test pipes, X pipe from the rears, so that's why it does sound louder. I did have it on my other E92. You know, driving a car, I haven't driven an E92 stock in quite a while, so when I got this car, it just didn't feel as loose or opened up as my other E92. And once I did that exhaust, I was like, okay, that's what it was. I actually had the rear section installed first, But once I put the test pipe in the X pipe, I mean, it made a night and day difference between the sound, between the actual just how reactive it is. If you haven't done it, I highly do suggest you do it. As far as interior goes, a little dirty. I have plain black that came from the car. Now, one thing I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but yeah, you do. You see that is called, I think that's a toupee. Toupee is a thing you put in your head. I don't think it's called that, but something like similar to that. Stitching on the actual, not only that, as far as the carbon fiber trim, but also part of the BMW individual interior, you got the actual blue stitching. The car is very, 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 very clean on side. I mean, it is minty fresh. So yeah, again, Santorini Blue, 1 of 22. I absolutely love it. I know I said that a couple times, but words cannot. I mean, that's another thing. In camera, it looks great, but once you see this car in person, it is out of this world. Out of this world. 65, baby. S65. I love it. The only thing that you would have to worry if you're thinking about buying these cars is the rod bearings for the most part. But let me shut up and let you hear it. Amazing, 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 amazing. I mean, it is such a blast to drive. The rev matches on the downshift, it is so crisp. Granted, I know a lot of people like the 6-speed, and I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but it is just not as good as the DCT. You know, I have some friends that might say, oh, I can outshift the DCT, and you can't. Let's be real. You really can't. The Olin's Road and Track feels epic. The upgrade that I've done is definitely a very, very good one. You can't, I mean, you just, so good, so good. And I think anybody that owns these cars will tell you one of their favorite things to do, of course, is when you're coming across a little bridge overpass. I mean, when you're revving it, downshift in here, watch this. Oof. So good. So good. And that's the thing, I mean, these cars are, I mean, a lot of people say the torque is not the greatest, and it's not. It really wants to the power wants to kick in later on the top of the power band. So that's it. But here's the thing, with the sound of a natural V8 aspirated, you really don't need to go fast in order to have fun, right? I mean, I know a lot of people want to go fast and all that, but if you want to go fast, buy yourself a Tesla, right? But one thing a Tesla can't do is this. It's so good. So good. And here we are at this light. So if you've ever needed a reason to buy or thinking about an E92, or you just don't know, this is definitely your calling.
I've owned all generations. The only car that I've not owned is an actual E30, which performance-wise I've heard is not the greatest. But listen, I have an E36, I have an E46, I have the E92s, I've even had a G82. And they're great. All of them have their very special one-off thing that makes them better than the next. But I don't know if you can necessarily, you really can't. I mean, you can't, the sound of a V8, it is something special. And to know that BMW has only made this for one generation, and it's the E90X platform, that goes to show you, with the testament of time, I just can't see these cars getting any cheaper. I do think that they've kind of bottomed out now where we're at. If it does drop a little bit more, who knows, recession, all you hear is, but hey, listen, I think this is a great time to purchase, because just the same way that you're seeing these E46s go up and you're seeing the E30s in particular, I mean, listen, there's E30s for $100,000 for an E30 M3. And when you're driving it, it is, besides the aesthetics, listen, an E30, and I want one, and I'm going to get one eventually, but it's just aesthetics. I mean, it's a beautiful looking car, but when you're talking about performance, it really isn't all that. I mean, it is, you can't say an E30 is going to drive better than an E46 or an E92. You really just can't. Is it a special car? Absolutely. But if you're trying to rip through it, have fun, this is the car to do it. This is the car to do it. This is the car to do it. This is it. The only V8 BMW's ever made. This is it. And not only that, a lot of people don't know, but when you look into the production numbers of an E92 or the E90X platform, many people don't realize they didn't really make all too many and comparable to all the other generations. This is actually one of the more limited run as far as when it comes to all generations, right? You have the E30, the E36, the E46, the E92, the F80s, and then the G80s. This is the second to lowest productions behind the E30 as far as production comes. So what does that tell you? Scarcity, rareness, V8, DCT. I mean, how much? So when I say, as far as an investment goes, this has to be, you got to think that this is going to be a good car in a couple years as a future classic at the very least. But man, is it fun. Traffic is crazy today, so I mean, I really can't open it up, but that's why you got a V8. It sounds good, and even in traffic, it sounds really good. So I know some people, they'll do a supercharger on these. Not necessary, at least I don't think so. The one thing I will say, if you're thinking about buying an E92 and supercharging it, go DCT. It is the way to go, especially as far as if you're looking for performance. But this car just rips. Absolutely rips. Just so much fun. And this is why I think the E92, as biased as people want to be, this is the car to get. It is the car to buy. For the money, I think it's way more reliable than an E46. That I can assure you. People might say the E46 is the real last M3. I love my E46. I really do. But for the money, this is it. This is it. My E92 M3. It is a great car. And you guys will be seeing more of it on the channel. More cars just from my personal friend group. And just overall,
actual events down here in Miami as the scene, it is pretty crazy, to say the least. A lot of good cars down here in Miami. I know a lot of West Coast, maybe New York gets a lot of the love, but in Miami, I mean, we do have a pretty crazy community and pretty crazy lineup of cars. So I'm excited. But until next time, guys, like, comment, and subscribe.